Okay, all right. So I asked Madam Elizabeth if she wants to do the introduction. So means that I will start. So I can see there are 18 of you guys here. Okay, so if you can hear me loud and clear, can you speak up, say something?
Yes,
we can hear you. Doctor, we can hear you.
Okay, so I'm going to share my camera just for a while, and after this I'll shut it down so that we can actually focus to the content of the presentation. Okay. All right, guys. So welcome. This is an introduction to quantitative data analysis using primary data. Right, so I thought at first I wanted to finish up, the whole lot like in this one session by looking into, there are basically there are a lot and plenty to cover. So I've informed the faculty that I'm going to separate the session today and perhaps very soon in 2 weeks' time, a continuation session on the same topic. Okay, so as we are focusing to primary data, so I wanted to use two different set of application software to analyze the data. One is to use SPSS, and the second one will be using Smart PLS. Okay, but this is just as an introductory. It may not be advanced, so perhaps in future we can have advanced session on quantitative data. Okay, right, so let me share with you. I'll just shut off this because I'm using two device here, my phone and my laptop. So I guess that I don't need my handphone, so I'll stick to my laptop. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I'm not really familiar with WebEx, but let's just try. Okay. All right, basically, the slides. Can you see my slide, please? Can you see the slide? I'm not really familiar with Teams for my session. The slides? Some response?
Yes,
Hear me? Yeah. Give me some response because I cannot, I can't see you.
yes,
Maybe
you can see the slide.
Okay, so this would be error here. Okay. is Introduction to Quantitative Analysis, Primary Data. So my name is Dr. Siti Bayaah Ahmad. I'm attached with Faculty of Business. So I'm actually a newcomer. I did in June this year. All right. So originally I'm from Ampang, Kuala Lumpur. I earned my PhD from here, and it took me 6 years basically to complete my PhD. As I'm doing it, this is just an introductory, get to know your presenter lah, basically. So 6 years part time, all right, quite a long time, many years, 6 years, and then there are people who actually can complete within 3 years. But I'm proud to what I have achieved, even though that I took 6 years longer, extra 3 years than the common people doing PhD. But no regrets. Okay, it's something that, and eventually I know that at the end of the day I will be able to finish this, even though there are lots of hurdles, challenges happening, throughout the process of earning my PhD. Okay, so my area of major focus when I did, even from my degree up to master's and my PhD, my interest is into marketing management. So I wrote a lot of paper, and my PhD is in the area of consumer behavior and branding. So I have been involved particularly on issues pertaining to consumer behavior, halal marketing, branding, brand identification, sustainable consumption. Okay, right. So throughout my journey, that 6 years, it's not easy. Lots of tears, definitely, and my favorite motivational quote, it says, it's not the destination that matters, it's the journey that counts. I've learned throughout the 6 years is something that books cannot provide to me. The journey itself is something that I totally appreciate, and the people that I am surrounded with, especially my supervisor during that time, very supportive, and the friends, the colleagues that I have, this very understandable colleagues, and most importantly, appreciation to my parents, because during that, when I started to do my PhD, my son was very little, so he needs to take care, because I have to travel a lot from KL to Penang. Like in a month, I have to travel like, and then not to mention work, office work, teaching, weekend classes, and whatnot. Yeah, so very supportive people are something that you need to have, family, friends, spouses. These people in your surrounding will basically push you to complete and turn you into a strong person. Okay? Yes, someone? Okay. So the session will be a little bit laid back, so don't worry about interrupting. It's okay. You can interrupt me while I need to ask questions. Please do. And also, I already passed to Madam Elizabeth PSS. This will be used towards the end of our session, in which that I prefer you to do more of simple data that we can actually work on together and to see what the options in terms of the analysis that you can do. That Madam Elizabeth has passed it to you guys, and make sure that you have to have the software SPSS to actually to run this, yeah? So that's about me, basically. Okay, so even though the focus is in quantitative primary, let's look back into what is quantitative study. Okay. Ideas or options that you have when you're deciding in doing your PhD, either you want to do qualitative, or even a mixed method. All right, so it's up to it's also depending to the objective and the research question that you want to answer. Okay, because in your chapter 3 philosophy or direction of your research design, you have to be very firm. Is it a quantitative or why is it a qualitative study? All right, so you have to be able to answer that, because this is also part of the questions that exactly the Vibavosi. Okay, so what is quantitative research? It's actually a study that collects data from large respondents sample, and is usually conducted using various medium, phone, mail, email, and you need to make sure that you have carefully crafted the survey instrument. Okay, either you're going to adapt method, and the primary function is to confirm at the end of the day your preliminary hypothesis, whether it's going to be accepted, to be rejected, and then you can justification and discussion what has been derived at the end of the day. Okay, so in a quantitative, okay, generally the approach is using scientific method. Okay, so you have to make sure that to the conclusion or to the confirmation that you are embarking into a quantitative research. So you know that in your study, your thesis, it is actually based on a model, all right, generation of models, specific theories, and that you derive from reading past literature, especially at the end of the journal when we were discussing about future research. Then you can see there's a gap being raised by that author. So something that you look into, can ponder when you are embarking into your writing your thesis. And then there's a need measurements and also the methods for measurement. So I believe that this part has been covered in other previous session, because everything from the first chapter that you're writing your thesis are very connected to one another, up till when you are designing your measurement item of measurements, yeah? Because item of measurement, there are plenty of items of measurement that you can actually refer to. Definitely, there are plenty. But which one represent should you adopt or adapt for your study? Okay, that is the tricky part. Because some students basically feel when they intend to so-called adopt and adapt some instrument, they make an assumption that when similar thoughts without looking into the industry, the back that previous authors have done, it may not be necessarily something that you can simply, okay, because there are two differences between this adoption and adaptation method in your instruments. An experimental control, means function of variables. Okay, this one involved with the how do you come up with your model of your literature. You come up with a model. You come up with the right variables to represent your study, so that reflected in your concept and theories and your entire model of your study. The fourth, you're going to do this collection of data, okay, and then how to analyze the data, what would be the appropriate method to analyze the data, this can you do, and also how to evaluate the analysis, how to make interpretation of the analysis, okay? Study, when you're doing your research, this is something in the screen, you can see that this is something that you're very familiar of. You have to how to identify first what to do, what is the research problem, a research question, research objective. Okay, that's something that I wanted to advise when you are at the beginning, when you're starting to write your chapter 1 on the introduction part. Always think of this approach of funnel. Start and at the end of the day you try to narrow down your idea. Okay, when I read students' thesis, they figure out this idea or process of writing chapter 1. Okay, you have to start general with what is a variable, and then look at various perspective of authors in all parts of the world. And we're talking about similar topic or similar issues that you've been highlighting in your dependent variable. And then you can go narrow to what is going from studies that were done in the country that you are in, okay, especially because when you do PhD, you're of the world's problem. You're trying to actually, put in some contribution, even a single dot contribution that makes slightly changes to the body of knowledge. Okay, then you identify the problem. Okay, I'm a lot about this because this one should be covered basically if you have done your previous on research methodology. You look into with the scientific topic, all this coming from your literature review. Okay, always do a very how you should derive, should come up with your table, table of literature review, because it will help you to refer back to what you have read and written down rather than to the journal. So go back to your summary of literature review, and from there, how you can actually formulate your hypothesis, because reading journal helps you what will be inferences that past researcher have derived out of study. So you have of the relationship that you wanted to pursue based on what have been discovered by previous authors. Okay, and you look into the relationship between the theory that you have developed much earlier in your literature review and relate to the that you are formulating for your present or current study. Okay, all right. So why you need to read literature review or to have a very thorough literature review is to help in your quantitative study on more. There are two things that being discussed between what's the difference between concept framework and theoretical framework. Okay, so when you read through many other journals, you will be able to, when you are using this theoretical framework, you intend to confirm what previous studies have. confirm using that particular theory. And when you use conceptual framework, you will be using more than just one theory to develop your hypothesis. It's actually a combination of theory, and hence, therefore, you have this conceptual framework before it will translate to your model. Okay, so why you need to have this model? You don't want to, once you have read the journal, you understand that there's some missing a gap that needs to be bridged. Coming out with your fresh new idea, they will add into the body of knowledge, and then you just don't want to invent the wheel. Okay, you don't want to repeat past studies that have been done recently. I was attending this proposal defense by our friend UMS. So it's not that she is not doing her work well, but it's just that new knowledge that she presented in her study. Okay, there's no new knowledge presented because this is so-called have when they are doing their research, they don't refer much, and they make assumption of what they is considered that they assume. Okay, so you have to read more than just what in your country. It has to be global to see other studies as well. You have to have that groundwork to be done much earlier before you make a conclusion for your thesis, what to focus. So then otherwise there's nothing new, and it will be a big question mark to the examiner when you presenting your study, and then because at the end of the day it seems that everyone knows what's the answer like. Okay, so then the answer, then big question is, why do you do the study? Okay, if generally other people have come up with a conclusion or come up with, so you are repeating the same. So what's new? What is it that you can actually add on new to in this case? Okay, so this model is basically defined as that is constructed to study some aspect of the system or the system as a whole. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, to explain, whereas model role is work as a representation. So you have either a theoretical framework, or you can actually go in depth in describing your focus in your thesis. Okay, for this is theory of planned behavior. All right, so basically this theory has been used for thousands of times. Students have been using this TPB for their studies. So basically it's common, what else can be add on to your study by that you should change, or by simply adding new construct to the theory? No, but you by reading further on each and every these variables highlighted based on independent variables or constructs here that represent the planned attitude, perceived behavioral control, and subjective norms, and how it influences a behavioral intention of. All right, so this is known. All right, but what else can you actually contribute here? Because I encounter students, they adding new variables, the fourth variable to this well-established framework, in which that it needs a thorough, a detailed explanation, a further study to confirm that this model, Hutton and Fishburne, is not so-called sufficient enough to describe behavior intention of the consumer when you get to come up with fourth construct, okay, for the model, right? So because to propose a fourth construct itself it could be another PhD topic, another PhD topic. So instead of looking to that, I come up with a fourth construct in which you are putting a new or additional model to this well-established. So you can embark into exploring further about what can be further investigate attitude itself. Right, when you read further in terms, from the journal, you can understand attitude is not a sole or mentioned variable. It's a multi-dimensional perspective. Right, so a plethora of things can be explored further because of reacting to a condition or to a situation or to a particular right. So like this example of model, so the authors utilizing or expanding the attitude to perceive usefulness and ease of use. So in which that she got it from reading and understand that past studies have that this attitude can also be described from the perspective that consumer are being influenced through of the product as well as the ease of use of the services or the product, for instance. Okay, so you are the model, the theory. Okay, you expanded the theory by adding into deeper discovery based on the existing construct. Okay, so then for quantitative, the flow of the process in the so-called deductive reasoning is you have to have a theory. Sometimes you can have more than one theory. Develop hypothesis. Okay, you have to develop hypothesis based on the theory, and also collect and analyze, and finally the process of accepting and rejecting the hypothesis. Okay, any questions so far before this? It seems I've been talking without any interruption from anyone. We will come to that, a little bit of that analysis discussion. Any questions so far?
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, T.S. Wong here. I'm the PhD candidate who just passed the PD.
Okay, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. My question is, because actually I'm using the PPB in my research as well. So now I'm doing the minor correction on the theoretical contribution for my study. So I intend to insert, to enhance the contribution by writing on, because now we are during the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm trying to see how the perceived behavioral control performs during the COVID-19 in the context of A, B, and B. I'm doing A, B, and B for information. Do you think I can use this as a theoretical contribution for my research? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Wong, for the question. So from the question, correct me if I'm PPB, and you intend to actually expand further or explore further on the perceived behavioral control, right? Okay. Can you just give me slightly explanation, a brief explanation? What do you understand with this perceived control?
Oh, perceived behavioral control means if the participant or the consumer perceive they have more control on the behavioral, they will be more possibility for the consumer to perform that particular behavior. In the sense that during the COVID-19 pandemic, the consumer, they have less control to perform the behavior because of the government policy and measures. And also there is a fear to be infected. So I would like to know, to test or to investigate, is this true? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I understand. All right. So when you are when you use TPB, basically you know that through reading, past studies have been using TPB on various ideas, various concepts. Okay. You can have a summary of what past studies have been embarked into, especially on that one particular construct on perceived behavioral control. So have there any other studies of further perceived behavioral control, and in what particular dimension it has been? Okay, and as you are using perceived behavioral control in a new understanding towards 19, okay, what do you intend to derive in terms of the if I could try to understand, you want to know the intention of people, implication of COVID-19. Can you correct me, Wong? What was the intention that you wanted to derive from the behavioral control in your current study?
The intention to purchase Airbnb or to stay at Airbnb accommodation. Thank you.
Okay. So perceived behavioral control affect the purchase intention of Airbnb. And okay, so this is a tricky part of it. And gives a little bit of comment, yeah, because you have to understand first about how perceived behavioral control works and what be the dimensions that has been in perceived behavioral control. And you can see that past studies have been looking into intention in various aspects, you know, especially because intention really action, behavioral action, okay, behavioral intention. So you can proceed with that. Always remember, being a student, you have to be able to conceptualize, all right, read using the theory and try to conceptualize your perceived behavioral control in a manner that, because the one thing that differentiates past studies to your study, okay, using the conceptualize that particular indicator, that particular construct, right? So that itself can contribute knowledge, additional body of knowledge to the study, even though that you are utilizing the same theory. Okay, so I know perhaps we can. Will that be accepted?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Crystal clear. Thank you.
Conceptualization is very important. Okay, no problem. Okay, so this is something that similar thing that happens the PhD candidate last time, because she failed to conceptualize the concept she's been using based on that particular model and theory. Okay, so then when it's presented, it's actually the same to what it's been doing. So the conceptualization is the one that will fill out more purpose of your study. Okay, so this is totally different from the rest. Okay, I'm so sorry. I need some apa ni help from the apa ni participants to actually try to mute your mic until you ask something. Thank you. Okay, so then continuation. So you use quantitative data analysis. Statistic is a method or discipline to focus on the analysis, interpretation, and presentation of numerical data. All right, so then coming to the types of data analysis, and everyone knows that you have two types. The primary research or primary data analysis, in which that is actually first-hand information or data collected. You're the one held responsible, you're the one who do the data collection, and it's actually for the study that you're doing. And then you have the secondary data analysis of data collected either from other sources, or you're doing it for someone else in this context. Okay, so then what we are focusing on the primary research or primary data analysis. Okay. Question. One question that when you are doing your measurement item, you know that you have of your measurements item, and then you have sent it for validity experts confirmation validity. All right, so what's next? Straight away for pilot test, or should you do a pre-test, or what do you think? Like Wong, he already completed his proposal defense. Wong, because Wong so far, who said that he presented his proposal defense. So may I know, how did you do your pre-test?
Not yet.
Oh, you haven't.
By the way, because actually,
yes,
yeah, I'm doing a sequential mixed method. That's why I'm still in the phase one, doing the interviewing. Yes, mixed method, sequential mixed method.
Okay.
Exploratory sequential mixed method.
Else?
That's why I'm still in the first phase.
All right, through interview. Anyone else in this session that
myself too?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Siti, myself also Wendy. Yeah.
Yeah, you are at your stage.
I'm Wendy. Wendy from also from Sabah. I am also doing mixed method. Three first interview, yeah, on homestay, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I respect for those who doing a mixed method. Which is that you have from various angles to actually confirm to answer your research question hypothesis. All right, thank you. Who else at the stage of doing anyone at the stage of doing pilot tests or planning to do? Tak ada. No one except for Wong and Wendy. Okay. If you have read journal, okay, on this pilot tests and okay, can anyone have some idea, how to do a pretest? Why is it important to do a pretest? You're reading.
One Siti, I didn't do pre-test or pilot test. I did not do. I go straight to the field.
Because you do. Yeah, I understand. You have. How do you confirm? Sorry, you have. It means that you're conducting interview as well as you do data collection. Collection through. Okay.
Yes.
How do you confirm of your measurement?
By performance, low production, medium production, and high production.
Okay.
A mixture of.
To confirm, how do you come up with the measurement item? Do you adapt?
From the MOTEC statistics, and then I do analysis, manual analysis to see who are performing high, medium, and low, as guided by supervisor. And then it's throughout Sabah.
Okay.
Throughout Sabah, that means through the 13 states. And then out of all the leaders, there are not many. There are only 29 leaders. Yeah, so there are 16 who responded. That's it.
Understood. All right. So I understand that will be slightly different. It means that it depend on the secondary data. Focusing into organization.
Yeah, sorry, Puan Siti. I should call you Dr. Siti. I'm sorry. Just now I explained to you that one is qualitative, but now you're talking about quantitative. My quantitative is in the field throughout all the homestay operators. So what we do is we just go through all the district, and whoever responds, take them.
Whoever respond. Sorry, Wendy, you
responded.
you're like
I'm doing
you,
I do field studies, you see, to test. Oh, maybe my internet problem here.
Yeah. I couldn't understand the whole sentences because I hardly hear you.
Okay. Maybe I can put it in a note. Yeah.
Okay.
I try to.
Yes, Wendy.
Yeah. For the field studies for the quantitative is throughout Malaysia, all the homestay operator.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do use a established theory, and you come up with a model.
Come up with a model. I come up with a conceptual after the literature review. Come up with a conceptual model and then go into field studies. Yeah.
All right. specific, your item of your unit of analysis is the operator or individual?
The leader.
Representing
Operator,
the
I try to
representative.
find out their leader, their coordinators, leadership quality, leadership style.
Okay, so this is on individual interpretation. The issue being raised.
No,
Not representing the organization.
This last stage, the quantitative field study is all based on structural questions about full leadership questionnaire, full range leadership questionnaire. But what I'm trying to explain to you is I didn't do pre-test or pilot test.
Okay. All right. So you can actually further discuss that, because when it comes to the focus of data collection, it also depends to the unit of knowledge into. Okay, and then what I'm asking now on the pre-test or pilot test, when you are doing purely with individual seeking answers or response from individual, when you are designing your measurement item, it's actually coming from an established theory. Did adopt and adapt some of the measurement items, right? And some of the measurement items actually being with a similar background as in the respondents in Malaysia. It's actually from various other countries. So there are issues like meaning. Again?
I only do field studies specifically for Sabah only.
Oh, yes, I understand. No, my statement is actually for journal, when there are students who are actually using specific model to support the study, so they are adopting and adapting certain measurement items from. So you have to make sure that, because you're facing the issue of some of the questions being adapted may not be fit to the respondents that you have here in Malaysia. So some of the issues will be languages, the terms, jargons with that people may not have that understanding. So before you can actually start with pilot test, because pilot test means that you have a sample of respondents from your respondents, like 30 people, for you to test your questionnaire. But before you can actually do that, it is advisable to do pre-test, because pre-test may not, you don't have to have 30 over sample of respondents group, but enough of those that represent your study in real, like 5 people or maximum 10 people. You have to be there, even if you have to conduct it online, but you have to be in the session when they are answering your, because you're expecting them to not only just to answer, but to understand every single thing. So if there is an issue raised, they don't understand quite at that moment itself. So test is very important before your pilot test, because you can actually go back to references and to see that whether you have done it or you have got the right measurement, the right sentences to actually come up to formulate your measurement item. So pre-test can help you to solve the issue. When you are doing your pilot study or even your actual data and it is not valid.
Understand, understand, In fact, I explained to you wrongly. I did do a test with the coordinator side. They did the test on their operator. So I have done 2 pre-tests. So now I understand, yes, the pre-test is done. So I will explain exactly what you explained to us now, and I'll explain it on the methodology. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so
Thank you.
so it's actually general to everyone. No, okay, welcome. So it's general note to everyone. So when prior to your pilot test, you have done your content validity, right? Those has been taken care of. Then you can do your pre-test with your actual respondent. Condition is you have to be there when they are answering it. So no, it doesn't matter whether you're doing online with or face to face, but you have to be there so that they can actually questions ask you, so things can be cleared. So once it's done, then you can have to do your pilot tests with 50 respondents. So this will solve any issues at the end when respondents are not answering because they don't understand. Because some students, they miss this part of doing pre-tests prior to the full data collection. Okay. So
Yeah,
next,
understand. Thank you.
okay. Let's look into this. Once you've done your data collection, so you decided, to run your analysis here. Options here. Okay, but prior to choosing which analysis that you can use for your weather, then you have to make sure that the data fulfills certain requirement, and then from there you can confirm which test should you use. Should it be a parametric testing? Because parametric testing, it's assumed that to be more of its explanation of inferential or relationship between the variables as compared to non-parametric, right? So and certain condition needs to be fulfilled, like it needs to be continuous data for parametric. When you are testing on your normality, data needs to be normalized or normally distributed. Then you can make an assumption that the data can proceed to be tested under parametric test. So usually stated that parametric test has more statistical power than non-parametric test. Okay. On the other hand, the non-parametric, it only fulfills certain things. Like you only settle with or ordinal data. You don't meet the requirement, or you don't meet the requirement of data being normally distributed. Settle with the less powerful data analysis, which is under the non data. So when you are running through this in your SPSS, so there are 2 parts later. We're going to look into when you have, assuming that you have a parametric data, so there are methods of analyzing in and non-parametric data as well. Okay. So I'm sharing with you first the how to do using parametric and non-parametric, and later on let's do together the sample using sample data that I am Elizabeth on this. Okay, so in selecting the right data for analysis, all right, so if you are facing with, you only use nominal and ordinal data. Okay, nominal data means there are two level, and can have at least categorical. In this context, you can use independent sample test using manually, right? That will be fall under the non-parametric. So, however, if you have a dependent variable, so you can use independent sample t-test. Okay, so this is under the parametric. You have again nominal and ordinal data. Okay, you don't fulfill that requirement normally distributed, then you can use test of differences, which is similar to one-way ANOVA under Kruskal. And if data is using continuous data, then you can use one-way ANOVA. Kruskal-Wallis is just that the dependent variable here is using continuous data. Then if your that category ordinal, then you can settle with Spearman rank, or the findings is not normal, then you can settle with Spearman rank. All right, and if you use continuous data to be normally distributed, then you can use Pearson product category. For finally, if you have a continuous data, it meets the requirement of normally distributed, then you can use multiple regression on continuous data. Okay, so this is just one level or a straightforward kind of relationship that you want to discover. Okay, another method or another being using in your thesis is when you have an intervening variables. Intervening variables, either mediating or a moderating variables. So in which that you have an additional a variable that act as intervening, that link between your independent to your dependent variables. Either it will strengthen the relation, connect the relationship between your independent to your dependent variables. Okay, so in SPSS, from many other journals, previously back in the 80s and the 90s, a lot of has been using Barron and Kenny approach when they are describing the intervening variables. And they use Barron and Kenny approach to describe mediating variables. Okay, it's it's actually triangulation in which that you have the one end is your independent, the other end is your dependent. Sits on top of the triangulation is your mediation. So according to Barron and Kenny, in order for a researcher to fulfill or to identify of the mediator, it needs to fulfill certain requirement. Barron Kenny says that a relationship between the independent variable to the has to be significant. Relationship between a mediator to dependent variable has to be significant, and relationship between the independent to the dependent variable also has to be significant, and then you can establish the relationship, the mediating role of the mediator. Okay, but the problem is it has been criticized according to Barron and Kenny approach of intervening variable, because it's actually the potential of one particular variable or any particular variable to act as a intervening variable. Feel all this triangulation, all this relationship between the three, okay, because that is according to Barron and Kenny. Okay, but now there's a approach initiated by Hayes. Hayes has suggested on this macro process to describe the relationship, okay, using a intervening variable. right? And for you can actually install case processes, right, for free, and to install that for free, and you can actually download it into your SPSS. All right. So from there, when you are running testing on your regression, okay, so there's another new menu there call his processes, and there are about, if I'm not mistaken, about 75 models that his has developed of mediating and moderating in finding the relationship between the variables, about 75. Right, so you can't anymore. All right, so if you are referring to the 80s, that was during the year Parametric has been cited by many researchers. But now you have to refer to case processes approach. On that, not to say notes, it's actually sample of relationship, the model that you can actually refer to. 75 models that you can actually refer to, and when you download that case process, it will have which among the 70 fits well that you can actually run representing the study that you are doing. Okay, so to use that case basically for today's exercise, but I have issues with my laptop process function in my SPSS. But remember I said that there'll be another session hopefully by that I can continue with his mediation, and also PLS at the introductory level. But today we will do some slide analysis, especially for those who are about to do the analysis, or they have never studied or never done this data analysis using SPSS anyway, right? So this will be the platform that you can actually try and error and test on your SPSS on basic requirement of data analysis. Okay, you guys have installed your SPSS, and have you got the data title sample on smartphone? Guys, have you got it? Have they got the data? Okay. Use. Okay. Okay. So let's open up your SPSS and together. So I hope that you can see the screen here. You can SPSS just now, right? I hope you can see.
Yeah, it's very clear.
Right. Okay, so let's do a simple analysis. SPSS, and then we can in our next session we to mediating role or intervening variables, mediating and moderating role using Hayes process. We can look into smart PLS as well, as part of the introductory data analysis primary data. Okay, so you have this all of these. This is a sample data on smart. So let's say that you wanted to test about this. Generally this is the model being used here is theory of planned behavior. The variable view. All right, so the data has been simplified and it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 independent variables. All right, number one, USE, the usability, and then you have the ease of use, EOU, and then OB will be the brand, and then ATT representing the attitude, and INT is the intention, purchase intention. Right, so based on this, have attitude, usability. Okay, so usability, ease of to describe here. Okay, so what to use? When to use this? When to run? Fact analysis and CFA, confirmatory fact analysis. Okay. Various condition being used to explain this EFA and CFA. Okay. So when you intend to use fact analysis, basically, it's actually not derived from a theory. When you intend to use want to do some exploratory and to know which particular item falls to group, okay, because this is not based on the theory, it's based on the data itself, right? Then you can use to confirm under which it falls into. Then you can use SPSS. Okay, but if well-established framework from a well-established model that you adopt, you should use CFA, confirmatory fact analysis, to confirm whether these variables that you use in your data collection were taken, were placed in that particular construct. So then you can use SAM, confirmatory fact analysis. But if your data is on the exploratory without confirming its position, or without confirming any particular model or theory, then exploratory fact analysis. Okay, so let's just assume this is data collected. The respondent's intention to purchase a smartphone, and have derived or collected data from 250 respondents to how usability influence the intention to purchase, how is intention to purchase, and how attitude and the brand in purchase. All right, and then the study, the data collected among respondents of different gender, male and female, and then the respondent types, job type, and has been working for various okay, right. So the first one, let's say that you wanted to do some descriptive. Okay, so given the 250 respondents, you want to just to know how many of them and by percentage that represent the study. So you go to analyze frequencies. Okay, go down to where you got your demographic data. Okay, shift it to the box. So you can click on statistic. Let's say that you want to know what's the mean, the median. Continue. If you want to add histogram, okay, to know what will be the distribution as per the graph, and you click OK. So it is advisable. Okay, this is the raw data. The raw. Okay, once you have this, it is advisable for students to actually construct a new, not to take this raw data, it in your findings. Construct a new table, create a new table with different sectors that represent the gender, that represent the years of experience and job type. And then you can highlight percentage, right, of the respondents. So it shows that there are 34.8 respondents of the respondents representing male and 65.2% are male, are female. Then you can take on another table that represent the years of experience and the job type. Okay, so when you have created the new table, just beneath that table that you just constructed, you provide summary to the demographic profiling, all right, by highlighting which considered so data which is so obvious and that give a valid or value that was for you to use later in case that you wanted to support your discussion, because you have the set of data from this group of respondents level, different working experience. So later on, it may help when you are discussing when you do the discussion, that how certain results came out as such, because it also being by the type of respondents that you have. Okay, so this is under the so you can save this data under one particular title like demography, so that whenever that you the test, so you can close this and a new output will come out, start fresh to do analysis. So you don't have to worry about all those results being jumbled into one results content. So you'll get confused. So just name them. Okay. So let's say that now you have this, you done that. Okay. So test about, let's say you want to test on the reliability. Okay. So you have this data collected, whether it fulfills or meet the requirement of reliability. According to according to Nunali 1978, the reliability at least 0.7, but with the recent requirement, it has to be sometimes it needs not 0.7 but 0.8, for instance. But you still can still refer to Nunali as that this reliability is acceptable at the level of 0.7. But how if your is actually less than 0.7? So you have 0.6. Should you just neglect them? Should you just ignore and a particular variable? Okay. Through what I was advised, during my studies, support your findings, all right, from other authors or scholars that is 0.6 for your reliability. Okay, as long that you have evidence, result, then you can still use it. Otherwise, you have to use or to find or to make sure that your reliability has to be above 0.7. Okay, so next is, let's look into, let's say, okay, test on reliability. You have to go to, all right, scale. Okay, I did not do factor analysis because if on a well-established model, then it is not suitable to use EFA exploratory. It needs to use CFA confirmatory, right? So, but we can assume later, if you want to just test, you can assume it exploratory study, you are not basing on any a particular framework, then you can test this EFA later on to see whether variable falls in specific category or requirement of that factor loading. Okay, so for reliability, click on skill, go to reliability analysis. Okay, so let's say that you want to test usability item 1, right? With item 1 to until item 6. Move it to the click statistics, scale if item deleted, continue, and click OK. Based on the study, the results here, based on the result, it shows that there are 6 items and it was tested that the Cronbach alpha for that particular variable usability is 0.470. Okay, so once you have encountered this, you have to refer to this box of total item statistic. Okay, so this total item statistic will help you to look into how you can actually help to increase your Cronbach alpha value by deleting at least in this case one particular item, which is item 5, usability number 5, all right, in which that when you delete this usability number 5, it will increase your from to 0.818. Okay, so this is also explain another reason when you are designing your measurement item, you have to make sure that minimum number of measurement item that you should have is Okay, because this will be the reason, the recognition that you might need to delete some of the items due to a low Chromebook alpha result, Chromebook alpha value results. So by having more than items will help you to increase your Chromebook alpha value. So in this case, user will give you a higher Chromebook alpha value. So let's go back to your result. Okay, go back to your reliability and remove usability 5, rerun. Okay, so then you got a new 8.818, right, with remaining 5 items. Right, so you keep this appendix to provide evidence that you have done this Chromebook alpha reliability test. Okay, any questions or any interruption, just unmute yourself and communications. Guys, any questions so far? So this is the easy part of it actually, because this. Okay, so those who have been doing analysis before, this is nothing to you guys, and but for you might want to look into the method of getting the analysis. Any questions? I hope someone can respond to me because my screen only shows the SPSS output box. I cannot see who are the respondents wrote anything. So instead of putting your notes to the text box, can you please just unmute yourself and speak up? I need some response, guys. Otherwise, I'll be speaking
No question.
alone.
No, Doctor.
So then, okay, so let's say that you have this done, okay. So you want to test about that of the data, whether the data has confirmed to the with parametric testing. All right, so you have to test on the normality distribution. So let's say that we pick one of the variable. In this case, one of the variables, and to test whether it's actually normally distributed or not. But prior to do that, okay, the data actually it is on individual scoring. So it means that the first respondents, let's score, okay, first respondent not intention. All right, so for the first respondent score 4, second respondent score 4, and other respondents, they have multiple mixed results. Looking into individual results. So let's find the mean usability of the entire respondents, okay, for the entire because usability here you have 6 questions, and the first respondent have multiple different first variable for the 6 measurement item for usability, and second respondents also have its different view. to individual. So let's find the mean for usability. So to find the mean, you go to transform, compute variable, and let's say that you name it as usability. Okay, to find a mean, you type mean, open bracket, you 1, 2, usability 3, usability 4, and use as you did a reliability just now, and it shows that you have deleted usability 5, 0.8 reliability result. Okay, close bracket, and right. So where to find this? You can actually see it of your okay. So then you have a mean score for usability on individual of the respondents here. Okay, so let's just test how there are. This is just one method. You can actually normality. Right, so go to analyze. Okay, go to explore, right, and pick this. Give it to the dependent list. All right, so go to statistics. You want to see the, all right, so let's say that you want to look into, if you want to see also not only scheme and leave, the normality, and okay, this one will just remain as my laptop is an old laptop, so you take. So there are various other means to actually looking into the quality here, right? So based on this histogram, it simply you can actually detect liars going on here. All right, so this one value that is a little bit part of this data. Okay, and then the QQ plot also indicates data is not lying on top of this line, and also total outlier here, number respondent number 0.34. What you have to do next is actually to delete this respondent number 234 to see, okay, and to rerun your normality analysis again. So let's go back to your data, respondent number 234. So scroll down, let's see. Okay, so perhaps that there must be something that makes as obviously different, giving different answers to the rest. So you can see that you as one for all this usability, or even for the rest of the answers, and can actually double check your apa ni, the respondents respond, whether it's on paper, online questionnaire that he answered, whether you did mistake by keying value to the system, right? So if it's nothing of that, so simply that this person is as such, not because that you did mistakes in keying the data. So you can go to this 234. We need to retain as much as possible data, because each and every of the respondents' results are very important. You delete, you are losing number of respondents. So in this case, this one particular respondent, it's so obvious in terms of its as an outlier in terms of result. So respondent 234. Yeah, and instead of you have 250, now you have 240 recorded into your analysis that you did the outliers, and then if you want to test again the normality, you have to your data, because the original one has been reduced from 250 to 240. You can use the same name as well. 3, 4, and 6. Okay, and click OK. Change existing variable, yes. Okay. Results will appear at the end. Okay, that has been override because this is the new mean score that you got for usability, and you can rerun the test for your normality. So just rerun. Okay. All right. So approximately, you can see that all the data hold, and it's scattered all over, and you have get rid of these outliers. Okay. Right. So just one method. There are other ways actually to test on the right. So that's for you to test on the remaining. So it means that you have to test, especially on the normality before you deciding on the types of tests. Parametric to run all the normality for all of your variables, okay, and check on the outliers as well. That means you have to compute and transform each and every of this variable, okay, like you did in this usability. So you have to compute and transform of the variable, right? So instead of looking into individual results from each measurement item by respondents, then you find a mean for all these 5 measurement items under usability, and you do for the remaining variables that you have. Okay, and once it states that all this data seems to be normal and meet the minimum requirement that is actually normally distributed, your analysis to test on these correlation variables. All right, if this is a requirement to answer your hypothesis and research question, look into this regression. All right, if you want to check on the inferences between variables, Also, if you have later, because I need to make sure that my laptop has been in case process of assessing, mediating, and moderating. It's supposed to be appearing some. Okay, once you have installed, it will appear somewhere here, and we can actually test on the mediating variable using SPSS and flow. Okay, so that let me have that cleared first and install that first, then you can have the on mediation using SPSS. Okay, so let's say that you want to test compare means, and assuming that you have met the requirement of the data for you to proceed with. So if you have data that is continuous and you want to fulfill this earlier part, which we wanted to test is if you have a is you have a continuous data for your independent variables, and then you wanted to test the differences between gender, male and female, to its satisfaction. Or data is normally distributed, then you can actually use this under the you go to compare means. Right, so you have, if you just want to look into the mean value for all of your data or interval data, or you want to test on one sample to test one-way ANOVA, so you can actually have tested, right, provided that you fulfill all the basic requirement of parametric data analysis. Okay, so assume that data is not fulfilling the requirement. All right, so you wanted to test about independence, the interdependence between variable, okay, and you have this nominal and ordinal data. Right? So if you want to test of your independent sample test, okay, so let's say that you between gender, okay, so let's say that you want to test what be the differences between gender. Let's say that you want to look into gender and type, okay. So let's say that you have, and then you want to know whether job type will give any differences between. So you define your gender, group 1 as male and group 2 as female. Continue. And you can just straight away click OK. Okay, so using many, so you want to test if there's any significant between gender towards the type of job that they have. So assumption here, the Z value negative 3.828, and then it gives you the it gives you the T equivalent to 0.005, which is less than 0.05. Then you can see that you fail to reject the null hypothesis, that there's no differences between gender when it comes to the job type. Then you fail to reject the null and the alternative hypothesis here. Okay, so this is when you want to test like this one two types, two category of data. Okay, then you can also test on more than 2 samples. Okay, so let's say that. So you want to test between working type, job type. Okay, so job type, you have 3 in this results, in this study. They are technical, operation, and I forgot. There are 3 types: technical, operation, and management. So then you put value 1 and 3 because the respondents either they fulfill which category, technical, operation, or the management side. So continue, right? So you're using this Kruskal-Wallis. Click OK. Okay. So based on this result, happens to be you fail to reject the null hypothesis, because the null hypothesis is that in the group of those different group job type. All right, yeah, job type is technical, admin, and find the years of experience. Right. So but this particular table did not tell you if group or which category of the years of experience that really have differences. All right, so because the condition is if you use this Kruskal-Wallis, it will tell you at least 2 of the group here has differences between them when it comes to the years of experience. Okay, so that basically will be the sample if you wanted to test using non-parametric, if the data did not fulfill the requirement of normally distributed and it only have a nominal and ordinal. Okay. All right. So I believe I will basically stop at here because I wish that I can with the with the mediation, the intervening variables. I wanted to proceed with that, but as does not support somehow for me to install his process, so I have to do something and this laptop, so that later once I got it, then we can actually have another session on mediation using SPSS, as well as let's also embark into another method of analysis using Smart PLS. Okay, questions so far? As pertaining to your research, your thesis, yeah, we can have a just a discussion of it. I'm open for anyone. In fact, if you an opinion with your thesis, I'm more than happy to share my idea, right? Not to take it as a primary, but as a supplement and to provide you a different point of view. Okay, any question?
Dr. Siti? Dr. Siti,
Yes.
can you hear me? Wendy here. Can you hear me? Very noisy.
Yes, loud and clear.
Oh, I appreciate that you expose us more on this different training. In fact, I myself is very weak in the statistics. Now I emphasize more on qualitative, but I support my qualitative analysis with the final stage of quantitative. So I will use exploratory as well as the mean analysis for the quantitative. So from here, I will read further. The reason I didn't ask a lot of questions is because it's quite new to me. As I say, I'm very weak at statistics, and that's why today I come and attend and learn more how to analyze the last stage of the quantitative analysis using SPSS or the bivariant. I will read further. Yeah, thank you so much.
No problem. I also thank for sharing. It may be new to some people. If I go too fast, perhaps we can have a more detailed session. You know, more session on this quantitative, especially on data analysis using SPSS as well as Smart PLS. I'm happy help you guys if you need help and to guide you with. I'm more than happy. I would feel glad if be part of your journey, because I know how difficult it is, especially when you are considered a rookie and who just started. I know to get to know all this statistical analysis. And for Wendy, yes,
Yeah.
are exploring and basically you using your data alone to test the factors, then you should use PFA, exploratory factor analysis. All right. And if one needs help with that, I'm more than happy to assist. Okay. Because as I mentioned, it's a lonely journey to some people, and it needs your courage, your perseverance, and lots of support from anyone that you can get to really, able to do this. All right, you don't want to completing a PhD in so because I have my what is it, Wendy?
I say very susah to do and data analysis, but it's good that you are expert on it. Yeah, we are learning. Thank you. Thanks for your offering of help. We will get in touch. Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Okay, and those who expresses is just one method. If you also interested to do Smart PLS, yes, we can actually work together on that. Yeah. So guys, thank you so much. In fact, this is my first training. I'm new and I'm also learning. Though that I have earned my PhD, it doesn't mean that I am expert in every single aspect. I am so learning things which I do not know, and I learn from the best, from others as well. And in fact, I do learn from my students as well. And I don't read, please share with me. I humbly ask, share. Don't worry, even you are embarking into, you just started or embark in the process. It doesn't mean that you don't know anything. You'll be surprised. You know a lot more than I do. Okay, you'll be surprised. So I'm sharing my email address. Yeah, it is data analysis a tough journey to. But I actually respect those who doing this mixed method more. Address. Ahmad, you .my. Okay. Right. So feel free to drop email on quantitative, others as well. If you need someone to talk to, if you are stuck in a bit to start, where to go, find someone, not only your supervisor, your colleague, and also me if you want second opinion. Yeah, I'm willing to help you. No worries. Yep, it's also something a learning and I hope that I can supervise any postgraduate students, master by research, or even PhD. Yep, is good for me as an educator, as an academician, but also this is where I believe that sharing knowledge is very important. When more, all right. So when I share, I even help me to dig more information, more knowledge, so that I can my supervisee, because I know how difficult it is and it's not an easy journey. Yep. Okay. All right, guys. So if you don't have anything else, all right. So have a nice weekend. All right, and then Elizabeth will email you for another session later. Hopefully in 2 weeks' time. Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you. Bye, Siti. Bye.